My fellow Sadaiters, not forgetting the slay queens and the mbingas, the socialites and papalites, vasinamalites, varikudyarais, nevasinamarites. This is just a quick update. Now, I'm sure we all are aware that Mozambique recently held a general election. Well, last night, the Electoral Commission of that country declared the Frelimo candidate, Daniel Chapo, winner of that election. He will now take over from his predecessor, President Nyusi, who had been president of Mozambique since 2015. However, the issue is that 3 days ago, President Mnangagwa congratulated Daniel Chapo for winning that election, despite the fact that the Mozambican Electoral Commission was about 2 days away from announcing the results. In his address, President Mnangagwa said, and here I'm quoting him verbatim, he goes, "I wish to congratulate our sister Revolutionary Party, Frelimo, and its President-elect, His Excellency Comrade Daniel Chapo, and the people of Mozambique on the resounding victory during the recently held elections. Congratulations, Frelimo." Notice, President Mnangagwa calls Daniel Chapo a president-elect. This despite the fact that the Mozambican Electoral Commission had not yet declared Daniel Chapo the winner. Official results had not yet been announced, but the SADC chairperson, in his wisdom, already congratulated the ruling Frelimo party. By making such a pronouncement, President Mnangagwa is actually usurping the powers of the Mozambique Electoral Commission, and that is equivalent to meddling in the internal affairs of another country. For a man who leads a political party that preaches the gospel of sovereignty and territorial integrity, Mnangagwa should know better. If the same thing happened in Zimbabwe, say, Zimbabwe held a general election and President Hakainde Hichilema rushed to congratulate Chamisa for winning an election whose result has not yet been announced by ZEC. Imagine the backlash Hichilema would have gotten from ZANU-PF. They would have, without a doubt, said that he is meddling in the internal affairs of Zimbabwe. It seems there are certain special leaders in the SADC region who are allowed, or rather who have a right, to meddle in the internal affairs of other countries without any consequence at all. In any event, why does President Mnangagwa feel like he can make such a pronouncement and get away with it? Well, I say pronouncement because he declared Daniel Chapo a president-elect before the Mozambique Electoral Commission did it. My brothers and sisters from Zambia, I hope you're watching, and I hope you're prepared for what's coming when you hold your general election. ZANU-PF is cooking. But the question was, why does President Mnangagwa feel like he can make such a pronouncement and get away with it? Well, the answer is in what he says in his congratulatory message to Frelimo. He says, and here I'm quoting him verbatim,
"ZANU-PF stands ready to cement the long-existing revolutionary unity between our two parties."
Ladies and gentlemen, ZANU-PF and Frelimo are one. Their relationship and quote-unquote revolutionary unity supersedes, supplants, takes precedence over Mnangagwa's SADC chairship. Remember, their bond was forged by blood during the liberation struggle. So, Frelimo didn't mind at all Mnangagwa prematurely making that congratulatory message. After all, an early endorsement by the SADC chairperson is beneficial to Frelimo, legitimacy-wise, because that election was, to call it shambolic is an understatement. That election, had countless irregularities and various allegations of rigging and fraud. At least 2 people died after polling day, and citizens have taken into the streets to protest amid a heavy-handed response by the security forces. Elections are always an issue on the African continent. And as I said in my intro, the Electoral Commission of Mozambique finally announced last night that the Frelimo candidate, Daniel Chapo, won the election by over 70%. But of course, the SADC chairman, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, had already preempted what the Mozambique Electoral Commission was going to announce days later. That already puts to bed the question of how SADC will deal with this electoral dispute. Remember what I said in this video titled The Influence of Former Liberation Movements in Southern Africa. If you haven't watched this video, do yourself a favor and go watch it. It's a comprehensive look at the politics of SADC and the relationship of ZANU-PF with the ruling parties of Southern Africa. In that video, I explained that there are 7 countries that control SADC from a geopolitical perspective. These are South Africa, Angola, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Namibia, Tanzania, and Botswana. Interestingly, if not revealingly, all these 7 countries are run by former liberation movements that have never lost elections in their respective countries since independence. These countries actually have an annual summit which they hold to discuss various issues and to share notes. The last such summit was hosted by Zimbabwe about 7 months ago. By the way, it was attended by Secretaries General of these former liberation movements. The Secretary General of ZANU-PF, Obet Mpofu, said the following, and here I'm quoting him verbatim. He goes, "We'll be looking at a number of issues, especially now that the region is threatened with an agenda which is very retrogressive, that of regime change from our detractors. We are assuring the region and indeed all the liberation movements that we are together and we will not brook any interference from any of our detractors. We want to prepare ourselves from the destructive tendencies or approach by those who claim to be champions of democracy, yet they are after destabilizing the region. Quite a number of member states and liberation movements will be going through elections this year, among them South Africa, Namibia, and Mozambique." Those are the words of Obet Mpofu, the Secretary General of ZANU-PF. So you see, they regularly meet to strategize about elections 7 months before they happen. In the case of Mozambique, Mpofu said, "We want to assure everyone that we as former liberation movements are together." Does it then surprise you when you see Mnangagwa prematurely announcing or rather congratulating the winner of an election whose result has not yet been declared by the authorities in Mozambique? Why does it come as a surprise when there are reports of ZANU-PF supporters voting in the Mozambican election? Why are we surprised that there were allegations of mismatches during the voter registration process? An allegation which even the African Union noted in its preliminary report, where some provinces and districts had more access to the voter registration process compared to others. Is this not a trick ZANU-PF always uses in every election? Ladies and gentlemen, former liberation movements support each other to the hilt, particularly those that came to power via an armed struggle. They will always defend each other no matter what. They don't want opposition parties to come to power because gradually that threatens and weakens their geopolitical influence in the region. So, there you have it. Frelimo will go on, just like ZANU-PF went on. And forget about a SADC overturning that election. That will not happen. The best that can happen for the opposition in Mozambique is a GNU. But even that is far-fetched. Not on Mnangagwa's watch. See, it's a club of brother leaders leading sister movements that are prepared and ever ready to defend each other at all costs. But The difference though is that some of them actually run their domestic affairs and their economies quite okay by African standards, and here I'm referring to countries like Namibia, Botswana, South Africa. And in the case of South Africa in particular, the ANC fully embraced a democracy, and this has proven costly to its hold on power. Because ZANU-PF and Frelimo can win elections using undemocratic means, but the ANC can't do that. That means, of all the former liberation movements, particularly the ones that came to power via an armed struggle, the ANC is the one that is most likely to lose power first. But whatever happens, I'll be here to marinate you with all the details without fear or favor, because on this here platform, we say it as it is. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy the content, please like and share.
Feta